Hana Hatae,
Yes.
welcome to Vul-Con.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm assuming, obviously, the very first time you've ever been to Vulcan.
Yes, it is.
Now, and I asked the same of Sirach, and I'll ask the same of you. When you come out of Calgary, you leave the hotel, you get in the car, you start driving down here. Do you start to get a little worried about where they're taking you?
A little bit. I was like, what? All I could see were just open fields. I saw, I think, one cow and a couple horses, and I was just like, all right, well, this is interesting. Hopefully they're not secretly taking us to murder us or something, but we finally saw some civilization and we arrived.
I'm always convinced that goes through somebody's head when you guys are getting driven down here. Are they going to bury us somewhere? Are we going to find us in a shallow grave?
Like something weird is happening.
Well, at the
Like
very
the
least.
beginning of a horror story or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it'd make it, make
would.
an interesting movie. We'll talk a little bit about, first of all, your time on the convention tour. I know you're doing a thing with some of the other Star Trek alum called the Circuit. And that's
Yes,
something you're
I
dealing
am.
with now. Tell us how that's going.
So far we just have only shot the promo video to kind of raise funds for it, but we have officially raised, I think, enough that we can. So we have some investors that are going to be, they're like basically paying or going to be investing the same amount that we are putting in to make this film. And so far I think they're still working on a bunch of different scripts because we had the fans. It's a fan collaborative film, so a bunch of fans have submitted scripts, and then we have to pick the ones that that they are stand outish, or the ones that stand out. And I think that we have our writers that are going to kind of rewrite it to make it more a TV or movie appealing, or I can't think of the right word.
You're right. Yeah, it's just a little. They're going to give it a treatment, I guess, is what they call it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And make it sound good. So, have you got a shooting date in mind so far? Or is it still very much in the planning stages?
Still in the planning stages. I haven't heard not much since the official campaign ended, the crowdfunding campaign. But hopefully soon. I do speak with Manu every once in a while. So
Yeah,
we
Manu,
keep in touch. So.
he was here last year, and he was very excited talking about. He brought a promo that you guys had shot, and it sounds like it's a really great idea, and it's starting to really take off.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. I like the concept that it's going to be 10 different stories into one, basically that tie together. But that hasn't happened in a long time. What is the other movies that do that? I'm trying to think.
The only one I could think of that even brought it close to that would be like the old Twilight Zone from the 80s, where it was like a menage of different ideas all mashed together.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be really exciting.
Well, and again, because it's all about some of the experiences you guys see or other fans have written about from being on the con circuit, which is something you're quite used to. So I'm sure you've got your own fair share of stories and great anecdotes that you've seen of things happening.
Yeah, conventions are definitely a great experience. They can be weird at times, but it's more fun than anything.
Well, I guess when you come to a con like this, it's much smaller than maybe what you'd be used to, obviously going to Vegas or things down the States. A little more intimate here, so maybe a better chance to interact with fans.
I actually love the fact that it's much smaller and more intimate. Like, the Vegas ones are fun, it's great, but it's definitely overwhelming. There are thousands of people there every day, and it's just, it gets exhausting. And I'm very much looking forward to getting to talk to everybody a little bit longer, as opposed to in Vegas, where you get maybe 1 or 2 minutes to kind of converse with your fans. But here we'll be able to kind of talk a little bit more and spend more time together.
Well, again, for you, talk a little bit about kind of growing up on the show. When you started, I mean, you were very young when you started, and you weren't a heck of a lot older when it ended either. So, how much of it do you actually remember?
So I remember, I'd say about 50%, half of it. I don't remember the audition process at all because I was 4 years old. But apparently my mom told me I went in by myself, and usually for child actors they want twins because of the limited time that you're allowed on set. And so we walked in, my mom was like, oh, there's no way she's getting this with a room full of cute Asian twins. And I went into the audition room by myself, and I don't know what happened. We're hoping we can find the tape somewhere so I can see what I did. But apparently the door opened and everyone was just laughing hysterically, and then my mom just got a call and was like, she got the part. I didn't have to go back for another callback or anything. And then the first thing that I remember, though, was the Rumpelstiltskin episode, If Wishes Were Horses. you're familiar, he legitimately terrified me because I was so young, and just his makeup, the whole storyline, I didn't really understand that it was just an act, that I was just playing a role. And so I refused to I had to have somebody else in the room at the same time. Like, I couldn't be by myself with him because it was just like, he just terrified me. And then you see me walking out of the room, and I'm just like, shivering and like holding my hands, and I'm like, he's in my room, and like, I'm actually scared. I wasn't acting at that point. Like, that was me being a child, like almost about to cry. And it was really fun, but it was, I remember a majority of it once I got older. There was the scene the episode, Time's Orphan. That was probably by far one of my favorite episodes to film. It was really cool. You're familiar with that?
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan. So one of the reasons I'm here, I'm our resident geek back at work. So this is not short end of the straw for me. I'm here because I want to be here.
Well, yeah, that was great. It's just like a little roller coaster ride, because I fall into the time portal, and they had me tied up in a little harness and like swinging back and forth on a green screen. And it's actually so funny. I was looking through I have like a little file box, and I never really wrote diaries very often, but every once in a while I'd write stuff down. Like, my mom would have me write some stuff just for memories, and I actually found 5 small pieces of paper of the Times Orphan, like me writing down what happened during the Times Orphan photo or the filming. And it was just absolutely hilarious to see. I'm going to try to find those, like take photo or scan those and somehow get that, maybe put that on the Deep Space Nine documentary or bring it to another convention to read out loud, because it was just so funny the way that I was just like, oh, today we left at like 6 a.m. and there was a lot of traffic because of the rain, and we got there really late, and then I had to go to school, and then I had to get my costume, and it was just like everything was spelt wrong. You could see things like crossed out and like rewritten, and then one's like, oh yeah, and so there was no traffic on the next day, we got there really early, blah blah blah, and then I had to put a lot of makeup on, I had a wig and dirt on my face, and it's just so fun to read that kind of stuff.
Well, you talked about documentary. Now I know Ira Stephen is doing a documentary now. Are you involved in that?
Yes, I am. Yeah, so we did a couple months ago, I think I went down to LA to shoot some of that, and I think we might be doing a couple more shots here since Ira and Kai are both here.
So you might as well shoot some stuff while you're here, right?
Yeah, right?
Awesome.
We might as well.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate your time, and we'll see you up on stage this afternoon. You have a great Vul-Con.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.